Orb on the Movements of the Earth, episode 17. I could make a lot of money with this book. Maybe. Oh yeah, money. The ultimate value. Truth? No. Hope? Nope. Money. He just fell into money. All the money. Oh. Can you buy a cure to fear of death? Interesting. Oh, it's you. I see. I mean, yeah, I imagine that would be expensive. Or it could be free. I feel like it's either infinite money, like a number that you could never possibly reach, or it doesn't cost money at all. Fear of death is a very tough one, big one. It's a famous philosophical pursuit, right? I feel like there was sort of a resurgence of this, maybe starting about 10 years ago, and I think it's very relevant to the show already, because I think one of the broader elements in there, looking at it more generally, is something like reflection on a truth in a way that you can't rationalize or compromise it away. It's hard to explain, but I feel like if we just got the raw truth all the time, unfiltered by our own needs and desires and misconceptions of things, we would probably be exactly where we needed to be in the best way we could possibly be. Truth as a thing, more than just a set of facts, right? Like just the actual raw existence of things as they are and no dilution probably carries in its DNA what would be the best, assuming that there's any sort of value structure to existence. The truth would be the best one. Maybe what the truth is, or one of the elements of the truth, is that it shows you exactly what is good and also what works towards being good and what isn't. And there are a lot of ways in which we can sort of play mind games with the things we encounter. We can rationalize or we can spin narrative, but there's some things that are sufficiently big that just cannot be compromised with. And I think the more time we spend with those things, the more we're sort of getting as close to that sort of unfiltered reality as we can. And death is just a big one. It just commands your attention. It's scary. At least so far, it's inevitable. It's simple. It's clear. And in trying to make sense of it, we can't ignore the reality of it. Why is there blood on your money? This is a horrific moment and image. Literal blood money from your deceased father. The light hurts, sort of like Ozzy's sky. He's got beautiful anime eyelashes. Draka.
Oh, こりゃすごい。いつもありがとう。
じゃ、私の話を。
This was a bargain, a deal.
我々にはもっと要領よく稼ぐ方法があるはずです。
So that's already 3 mentions of money. Just speculating, one reason why he could be so fixated on money is because that alleviates his feelings of powerlessness and helplessness in the face of death or violence at the hands of others, maybe because of what happened to his father. It also seems like his father died seeking money, so that also would bring that front and center. Maybe what he should be doing is selling his maps.
今私たちは集団で利益を分け合ってる。すると怠ける人
Yeah,
が
that
出
might
てく
kill
る。
some incentives.
それを阻止するためにもっと功労者に報酬を与えるべきだ。というか、
Are you suggesting
独占した
capitalism?
っていい。
All of it.
危機感から競争が加速する。
Competition breeds success, wouldn't you agree?
お前ほどこの村の将来を考えているものは
That's just not how we do things here, Draka.
お前は覚えが早い。一度言っただけの廃村の地図が
Why don't you stick to your maps, your little maps? Leave the socioeconomic matters to us.
分業化された工程を経て新しい商品に生まれ変わらせ
We got a good thing going here, don't ruin
一
it.
人が勝手に作業をするより、役割を専門化させることによって容量と
Wow, his
品質
ponytail
を
is like
向
very
上させる。
alert.
以前のような危険な盗みや狩りをしなくて済む
Wait, he designed this?
村は十分に豊かになった
This kid is already king of the village,
お前に感謝してい
and
る
yet he has no sway?
貪欲はダメだこ
That's
れ以
interesting.
上稼いでどうする
Good question. It's worth asking.
もっと隣人を愛せ
They're not mutually exclusive.
それが神の教えだからだ
このままじゃ足りない。
Wow.
なんだ金が足らんのか
I gotta buy out my fear or whatever.
我が村の共同貯蓄はいつでも貸す
Loaning is not actually the same thing as my money, but okay.
安心のためです。
You can't buy that, I'm afraid.
安心
いえ、何でも。
You should state it. You should say it. It's really interesting. I'm not really sure where it's going fully. This might be fleshed out a little bit more later, but just based on Draka's stated rationale so far, that's not really how that works, right? But just looking at the raw issue at hand of like expansion and growth and materialism versus, I guess, groundedness and respect for God and love for others, etc. I think there is a happy medium where those two things can be one and the same. In fact, there's an argument to be made, and it has been made, that production and creation actually is one of the highest ways to serve God. I think the condition, though, is that it has to be anchored to that thing very explicitly, right? For example, God is good, humans are God-made, I love my fellow man. There are things that need doing, and industry is a way I can help my fellow man. I want my people and my children and their children to prosper and live beautiful, comfortable lives where they have the highest possible pedestal they can stand on, from which they can also reach up towards God. There's something really beautiful about that. Commerce and sales and money, it sometimes gets a bad rap because oftentimes the way we experience it is that it's divorced from any sort of higher pursuit. It's divorced from values. It's like, I just want to improve my own well-being because it feels good, you know? And not that there's anything even wrong with that. It's a sort of lower order. It's only wrong if you're like crossing lines and doing things that are wrong or harm others in that pursuit. It's also tricky because who gets to decide exactly what that value is or what people actually need? So it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I think we can know it in extremes, right? We know what it looks like in obvious cases when, for the pursuit of profit and material well-being, people are doing terrible things. We also know what it feels like to have a product or service that really benefits our lives. I think that sometimes you get the message, both in religious circles and secular circles, that money is bad in itself and that it's the antithesis of God and service or goodness. But personally, I feel like there's a lot more nuance to be had there. I think it's going to be about like the person and their deeds and their motivation rather than their financial level. I remember growing up, I heard it put forth that being poor and being weak is a virtue. But I mean, just from experience, your financial state is not really an indicator of like how deep and rich of a person you are and, you know, what your beliefs and values are. Also, it's not just money in here. There's just a classic paradigm thing of conservative versus liberal, order versus chaos, where things are going well, like don't mess with it. You're going to invite ruin, which is a real risk. Versus, there's so much more we could be doing. These ways are archaic. We've already mastered this wrong. Let's push forward, which also happens to be the way that societies progress. And it's a constant struggle between those two forces.
Oh, ドゥラかよ。この哀れな病人のためにどうもありがとう。
He seems like a good kid and a really smart kid.
またお酒盗んだの？
いや、人聞きの悪いこと。共有財産じゃないか。病に侵された身だ。
So therefore I can steal.
俺に見てくれないか。
I can overlook a drinking habit, but not a stealing habit.
ちょっとおじさんの意見を聞かせてほしいんだけど。
I mean, I think he just stated his
個人の
opinion
自由競争で
about that.
集団全体の利益を増やせるんじゃないかと思ったんだけど。
Does this end in more wine for me? How much wine do I get?
まあ、可能性はあり得る。
じゃあ
だが私は反対だ。
He's so ready to take praise.
神の教えに反するからじゃない。共同体が壊れてしまうからだ。
I mean, there's a real, actual, interesting risk here.
確かに競争は激化するが、その分格差もひどくなる。
Disparity is the bigger issue, yeah. Right. It's not necessarily how much people have, but it's the difference and what their rationalization is about why that difference is there. Also in there, I think, is how fair people think it is and how much they can envision themselves getting to the place they want to be. If people feel there's just an obstacle to them, they'll never get there, and either they personally believe or they've been convinced that it's a rigged game, then yeah, that's going to breed resentment. And because a lot of society and life is a power game, that disparity creates a pathway for malicious actors to create a narrative of like, aren't you angry that these people stole everything from you? They rigged the game so that you'd lose. That's a very, very easy sell.
この発想には弱者を救済する仕組みがない。倫理を失った自由はただの混沌だ。
That line I like, yeah.
ダメか。
Their criticisms are interesting, at least. I don't think there's nothing to it, but there might be a little bit of status quo bias here because Draka is pointing out problems with this system that people are sort of free riding, which also is an issue, also creates resentment, and in worst cases causes the collapse of the system. It's a pendulum, right? And I think we're trying to hit that middle path.
まあまあ落ち込むことないじゃないか。お前は賢いんだ。未来もある。
He is super intelligent. He does seem to have a super bright future.
もしかしたら私は一生このままここで終わる運命なんじゃ
Would
ない
that be so
か。
bad? I mean, he has to leave then. He has to leave so he can know the place for the first time.
お前には信念がある。いつかその信念がお前を
It's
導
good
く。
advice.
今はまだ
And there's
時で
no
はない
rush.
のだ。
Follow your nose and do what you feel is right at all times, and the path will reveal itself. Oh no, the sun. He's got sunrise trauma. This is very oxy. These things are real, you know? These associations. They cut deep.
戻ってこい。お前が毎朝いないからみんないつも心配している。集団生活で勝手はよし
We
て
have
くれ。
crying at home.
なぜ毎日朝が来ると泣く。
そんなこともわかんない。朝にお父さんが
Right,
死んだ
yeah,
か
it's
ら。
association.
それにしたってなんでここで。
Isn't this where he
テン
got the
トで泣
coins?
けばいいだろ
I mean, he's trying. He cares about him.
みんなはお父さんが天国に行ったって言ってるのに、私が毎朝泣いてたら神様のおぼし飯が嘘みたいになるじゃん。
Oh, he thinks that he's crying here for their benefit.
う。ではお前の悩みを解決する3つの魔法を授けよう。
Amazing. I'm ready for them, I think.
そんなの神様の教えに反するんじゃ。
1つ目。
We just
神
slipped
は
by.
存在しない。
Oh my god. He just casually dropped that as number 1.
神を信じていない方がいろいろと選択肢が広がり有利だ。
Very interesting.
むしろ神に奪わせるな。感情の主導権も生きる意味も。だからお前の痛みは世界の痛みに等しい
Your
と
pain is the
思って。
world's pain.
それが
It's a
分か
huge
ったら
moment.
2つ目。
That's only number 1? Oh my god. Please tell me that these are in descending order. One of the impossibilities of talking about God is that it's a concept that can't be pinned down into a word. And people mean different things when they say God. And also people have sort of knee-jerk associations when they hear the word God. So like, what exactly are we talking about here? Let's say you're just trying to find what is the greatest thing. You know, the greatest thing you could possibly devote yourself to and the best thing you could possibly do. You're probably going to have to anchor that to something bigger than yourself because you are not the best thing, the highest thing. Okay, so then like, if such a thing were to exist, taking huge shortcuts, would that thing be true or untrue? Would the best possible thing in all of existence somehow contain a lie about existence? Hard to put into words, but there's something that feels inherently contradictory about that. The truth would just sort of be like the rays that shine from the sun of that thing, just axiomatically. So you can trust that the thing will be true. And if you get anywhere near that, well, then you sort of have skipped steps, right? Like you don't really need to think about the church's dogma so much or what someone tells you the truth is, because those people are also downstream of that thing. They're worth listening to and they often will get it right because some people really are paying attention and some people are good avatars for that thing. But I think in doing so, you've kind of removed the constraint a little bit that I think he's referring to. You're a little bit more free in the way I think he means, where you're just navigating towards that thing no matter what. And like, you're just trying to avoid anything that is to pin down to something smaller than that thing, which in moments might include the church. It might include the words of people who are otherwise really intelligent. But if the message here is that there is nothing and nothing matters, some sort of nihilistic, you're most free when you have no anchoring, then I'm not really about that life.
考えろ。そのために文字を学べ。本を読め。物知りになるためじゃないぞ。
So you can get closer to
考え
it.
るためだ。
Yeah, right, right.
一見
I think I'm with
無
him.
関係な情報と情報の間に
Synthesize, yeah, which is very godlike actually.
使える知識に変えるんだ。
Use is a very good word there
その
too,
過
yeah.
程に知
Practical.
性が宿る。
Process. This man is just like laying it down.
神なしの世界で考えてるといつしか自然と
That
三つ目
probably
の
will
魔
be
法が
God.
生まれる。
You're gonna come full
信
circle.
念ってやつだ。
信念
Though it need not be called God.
私の信念は信念を捨ててでも生き残るだ。
それを
That's a little bit of a contradiction, it seems, at first glance.
これは矛盾ってやつだ。
Yeah, he's slippery with it. Man, imagine getting this as a kid. Those are some huge bombs he just dropped in like 30 seconds. I'm gonna give you the whole thing right now. Now have fun digesting that for the next 20 years, if you're lucky. It's funny that just as an offhand remark, I mentioned returning home and knowing the place for the first time. I'm guessing that's the exercise, right? It's like, just follow these things and you'll end up getting to something similar, but it won't look the same. It'll be way deeper, richer. Honestly, I think overall it's great advice. It's a little bit tricky with the terminology, but I like at least my understanding of the underlying sentiments. Let go a little bit, right? When you're born, you're sort of handed a structure or you take in the existing structure because that's what you need for survival as a baby, because you just can't cope on your own. You need the societal safety net and you need to fit in so that people don't murder you. This is a biologically ingrained process. All right, well, survival is not the same thing as optimal. And you've survived, you know, you're going to survive. So let's try to optimize now. Funny how his village thing maybe ends up being a metaphor here. All right, well, in order to do that, first you might need to unlearn some of the things you've learned. You need to let go of some of these things that are dogma so that you can kind of explore in more depth, take on some new information, go into things with a little more nuance to get that really rich feeling of the thing. And one of the best teachers is exposure to things, exposure to situations and people and circumstances and ideas. So to the degree that it's safe to do so, throw yourself into as many as you can, get as many inputs as you can, store up the raw materials, even if you don't know what they mean yet, you don't know what value they have, just accumulate them in the beginning. And then as you figure out what you want and what you like and what you don't like, you'll now have sort of a priority and you'll form goals along those priorities. And then you'll have a lot of materials to draw on, your experience, your learned knowledge, your relationships, all those things, so that you can forge a path that pushes you forward into that next thing. One of my pet beliefs is that synthesis, in the sense that you're taking things and forming something greater than the sum of its parts, is actually a very godlike process and is one of the reasons why it's said that we are made in God's image. And then hopefully in this process, you're finding out what actually matters, speaking of that value ranking. And if you start getting to some of the deeper levels, you start realizing just how much they mean and how important they are. Then you have something that transcends the immediate moments or opinions of others or minor circumstances of life. Then that gives you the why to withstand some of the more difficult elements of life and the reason to keep moving forward. And if you go deep enough in that, maybe you find something like God. And you realize this is probably where these ideas of God came from in the first place. It's just that they largely got diluted because this actually is a very difficult process and it can't be transferred from person to person. It takes that process and that work.
神は存在
You give me a
し
lot to think about.
考えるそしたら信念が生まれる
Step 3, prophet.
お父さんは略奪に行って死んだ。
Plundering.
残ったの
Wow.
はこのお金だけ。
That's all I have, and I need to value it.
お父さんが略奪に出なきゃならなかったのは、そうしなきゃ生きていけないからだ。
Money,
もっとお
survival.
金があれば、そんな危険なことしなくてよかった。
There it is, yeah, that's what I thought. It's okay. I mean, again, wrong answer. Not being a waste. It starts the journey. Go for money, do it.
金を稼がなきゃ。
I support it,
心から
yeah.
不安が消えるまで。これがお父さんの伝言だ。これが私の信念だ。
I think it's really beautiful. I mean, I don't think that's the answer, but I think that's the first step towards the answer, right? He's following something. He's following that gut feeling. That is what is going to lead him to go out and to get those materials, like I said, the experiences. He's going to feel very directly, tangibly what it is and what it isn't. So I generally think it's good advice to follow those instincts. It's okay, as long as you're simultaneously doing your best to avoid things that are evil and trying to do no harm. But like, yeah, if your instinct is to get rich, do that. If you think money is the answer to all your problems, follow that. I say this, and then this is going to lead to disaster for this character.
稼ぐ方法。
A very specific track for that advice, but I like it. We're going to read books about money. So dark. It's always so dark.
これぞ至福の時。
Wine and books.
本当にここに間違いありません。
Maybe it's Oxy's book.
地下室を見つけたんです。そしたら上等な酒がたんまり。これは
Oh, we're looking for... Oh, no.
ここは私の領地だぞ。冷やしい奴らめ。連行しろ。
待ってください。
I'll just take my wine and leave.
私は一人です。村の者にこんなことがバレたらま
Yep,
ずいし。
true.
捕まえろ。経理に引
Oh
き渡す。
my god.
私を牢に入れてもあなた方には何の得もないでしょ
Survival at all costs.
う。若い女です。だから
Oh, man.
私は見逃してください。
I mean, he did say that was his
よし。
conviction.
いいだろう。
Excuse me, Bishop? I mean, not surprising.
それより、こっちでいい話がまとまりそうだ。
But he's always been so godly and devout. What happened to him? I like how at this point there's no pretense. They're just like a gang. He's not even bothering to rationalize it. Him and his group of thugs, they know the deal. They've just gone all the way across the line and they live there now.
そこでいろいろ
What's the
考えた
chronology of this? This is
やはり
after
お前に託すべき
he
だ
got caught and
一
routed out the
体
village?
何の話？
詳細はここでは言えん。
Maybe he's trying to save him.
お前の運命を変えてしまうものだ。
You're speaking his language. That's his concern.
準備はできてる。案内して。
Not a second thought. I see a torch floating in the air.
まだいないか。よし。お前はそこらの家で待っててくれ。
Wait, is it a girl? Wait, this is the young lady? Draka is the young woman he promised? Oh, this is horrible. He gave such a good lesson and he just doesn't live this at all. I guess that's the contradiction. Oh, that's the book. Crazy. The chances. You gotta keep reading. You gotta find the truth. Oh, that's the name of Ozzy's book is Orb on the Movements of the Earth. That's amazing. Nice little tie in there.
人々は底辺に貼り付けられた生活から解放される。この大地の運動、地動説によって。
It was ambitious. Very ambitious goal there with astronomy.
なんだこの本。
Well, you did find destiny, accidentally.
主題の割に書かれてることは単純というか。
Oxy continuously getting dragged across time.
個人の感想のようだけど、最後はこの大地を作った神への崇拝で終わってる。
Speaking of contradictions.
感じる。かすかに感じる。
Destiny.
この本で大稼ぎできる
Money.
気配を。
Of course, that's the name of the episode.
考えろ。
That's how it'll start, though. That's not how it will end.
史上最も人に受け入れられたのはおそらく神だ。では神はなぜこんなにも受けてる？
Sense of comfort.
将来や死後のこととか人は未知なものや不確かなものを恐れる。
Right.
その
People
救
crave
済とし
answers.
て
And we like having a guide.
今は単に神以外の選択肢がないだけでもしかしたら代わりになる不安の紛らわし方もあ
It's
る
a
んじゃ。
great question.
もっと確実に娯楽で不安を
I don't like
紛
the
らわせ
answer,
た
though.
としたら
I don't like that answer. I think that runs its course.
わかりやすいものの方が好きなはず。いずれ娯楽は身近で刺激的なものになるんじゃ。
This is a pitfall of ideas in general. The deep stuff is difficult, but you want people to understand it. There's a temptation to lie is too strong of a word, but reduce it into something that it really isn't. You're losing the real nutrition there and spreading it along. I feel like that is understandable, but overall, it's a mistake. It runs its course. You have to give the full thing always to the best of your ability. Because we see where that goes if that's not the case. It just gets weird. It becomes a game of telephone. You have to maintain the strongest pillar of structure that you can. Let people come to it. It's interesting he mentions pleasure because I think in a way that is the way it went. I think that with the loss of God, and, maybe deserved, at least the way it was being sold and distributed, well, we need something, right? We can't just be in a vacuum or void. We always have some orientation for meaning somewhere. That slot is never empty. So I think what it ends up becoming, what it has become, is just like ourselves, our own pleasure, our own happiness. We talk endlessly about happiness. We think about what is best for us. Relationships are about our own pleasure, and they just get deleted or removed when they cease to serve that function. It's not really that far removed from hedonism. If there's nothing higher than you, then the highest thing is yourself. Forgetting that pleasure, while a wonderful thing, gets weird if it's sought in a vacuum. It's an extension of Goodhart's law, maybe, of like when the measure becomes the target, it ceases to become a good measure. And you might add, it's not a good target. Happiness, pleasure, those are effects of other things that are probably connected to something more important and more meaningful. Like you do something really amazing, you feel really good. The feeling good itself isn't the point. That's the reward.
もし読者がその娯楽になれたら、この本で大
I'm
稼
gonna
ぎ
make
できる
this
かも。
book as good as candy. You write the
し
book
かも
real
ちょう
good.
ど今、いや、
People
私も
really
生ま
enjoy
れて
it.
からずっと生活を抑圧する教会への不信感が高まってる。
But how can they doubt the church with wonderful people such as Bishop Anthony?
生産はどうする？写本か？いや、それだと手間がかかりすぎる。
Maybe we can distribute it as head tattoos.
だいたいこれ、著者誰なんだ？
Two
いつの時代
great
の本な
men.
んだ？書いてない。
They exist outside of time because they are in heaven. And you couldn't put just one or two names on it.
安全な時が来たら、利益の1割をポトツキに寄付し
Oh, they still carried out the Pataki thing.
丁寧に住所
Oh
ま
my
で
god, that's amazing. As if he's still alive. He might be still alive, actually.
ドゥラかよ来てくれ
おじさん
Wow, they
ちょっと
carried on his
面白い
wishes.
こと
That's so beautiful. Give 10% to Pataki. The guy who sold out.
こいつ
Oh
か
man.
え
Her. Okay, she's a
ま
girl.
あ確かにいい値はつくかもな
I didn't know that. I should have known by the beautiful eyelashes.
運命を変えるってこういうこと
Yes, actually. I
え
told you.
私は
I
生き延
told
び
you
る
I'll do
ため
anything
な
to
ら何で
survive.
もする
I did warn you. And if you get hurt, that's your fault. Wow, that was an amazing episode. The uncle, like a great example sort of his own thing of like, be a little bit mobile with it. Because that was, I thought, great advice, or at least I interpreted it positively. I guess I was trying to steelman it. And I really think it contains some real beauty, but he just lived that godlike life. I wonder if we'll find out the third thing. And if the third thing wasn't a lie, or like he doesn't know what the third thing is. Which doesn't preclude Draka from finding it. I really like Draka as a character. I like the money as a focus. It's a very interesting topic. I think the show, as usual, is approaching it in a very cool, nuanced way. It feels appropriate and relatable as the start of the journey. I love his musings on the book. It's actually something I think about a lot, like this challenge of you have something that you feel is good and people sometimes ask you for, but you can't give it directly even though you want to, and you maybe could if you made it more pleasurable, you were more tactical about how you sold it, how you hooked people in, but then that feels a little bit weird. There are lines there, but wouldn't it be for the best? There are a lot of conflicting incentives there. And then, of course, 10% for Pataki. That's so beautiful of Oxy and Badeni to have included that.